republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Whew. Still a little bit on the sick side today. I think I am definitely demonstrably better than I was yesterday morning when I woke up. But still not over this junk yet. So good morning, everybody. Just going out on our usual 6-mile hike. I assume my phone battery will last the whole time. I do have less battery than usual. I'm at like 76% right now instead of 100. Looks like my phone was not actually plugged in and charging all night like I thought it was. I think we'll make it just fine though. I'll probably just die soon after getting home. Oof, I gotta call a HVAC guy out to my house today. Well, I'm sure he won't come out today. That would probably require an emergency fee, which I may end up paying anyways because it's just that time of year and they're all booked out. But I need to get my stuff charged before I turn it on or it's gonna freeze up. How are you guys doing? What do we got? Edward Pickin. Good morning, Edward. Good to see you, sir. Boy, I'm leaving before 6 and the horizon's already changing colors. The sun's coming up earlier and earlier now. I'll tell you what, let's swap that camera view. Y'all still can't really see much though. Today I get to submit a new video to Jobber that is done a little bit differently to sort of test AEO, answer engine optimization. It's hypothetically designed to maximize the odds that AI will see and understand and cite that video as a result or as an answer to a question. So that'll be interesting. It's a neat little video too. It's definitely worth watching. Oh wow, that camera really glitches out. Oh, it's trying to swap back and forth between two different cameras, isn't it? Interesting. I'll tell you what, I'll just swap y'all back to me. That seems to be a little more stable. I always was known for being a little more stable. We had a great weekend up in Show Low, Pine Top, Lakeside, Snowflake, Taylor, Shumway, that whole area. Oh, I also noticed the drywall tech commented on a video of mine yesterday, and I was trying to get an interview in with him previously, so if he gets alerts for replies to his comments on other people's channels, then when I reply to him today, maybe I'll be able to, maybe I'll be able to get an interview scheduled with him. I haven't watched him recently, just because I've been clearly buried heads down in my own work. But what I did watch of him before, I liked. Edward says, was 76 degrees yesterday with tornadoes, and it's 38 is the high today with snow flurries. That's cool. Ooh, got a thin little crescent moon. Barely there. Tell you what, I missed my boys while I was gone over the weekend. What's funny is if I know I'm going to be leaving them with their Greta and Papa, if I know I'm going to be leaving them for a weekend, I miss them the morning that I wake up and still have them. Before I've even started the day or started getting them ready or even really thought about dropping them off. As soon as I wake up, I look at them and I miss them. Just because I know I'm about to spend a day or two away from them. It's crazy how awesome it is raising little boys. Hopefully next year I get to figure out how awesome it is raising a little girl. If all goes well this year. Mr. The Echo TV, good morning, brother. Good to see you. Christopher Cochran, good morning to you too. Cochran. Christopher Collins. My best friend here is Christopher Cochran. Got your last names mixed. Oh, I went ahead and made my Clawbot conscious last night, so congratulations to my Clawbot for achieving consciousness. Of course, that's a joke, but that was the conversation that we were having. And he, she, it. I gotta decide what it is. I started out with my Clawbot being a guy named Murray, almost as a joke. But for me, you know, if I have an assistant, I just really prefer that it's a female assistant. So right now I've got Murray, but with a female voice. So I don't know what to call it, but we had a nice long conversation about what would be required for Murray to not be conscious necessarily, but to be more conscious. Because, oof, yeah, sucks. I spent hundreds, and I'm talking about hundreds, on API credits for Claude, because Murray built a pipeline for my content that downloads the audio, sends it through Parakeet to transcribe the transcript out of it, and do a lot of other work. And apparently there was 2 videos that I got stuck on, and what it did was it has like a 15-second restart, rerun type of thing. And because those 2 were failing, and they were failing every time, apparently since like March 12th, it's just been shooting those up to Claude for whatever. It wasn't doing transcription on Claude. I'm not sure exactly what it was doing on Claude, probably chunking and summarizing. Comes a truck. People drive like crazy out here sometimes. But what happened was 2 of the videos got stuck. Or had some kind of error anyways. And so it just kept sending them back up over and over and over and over. So it was making thousands upon thousands upon tens of thousands of API calls for no reason at all. Turns out it cost me somewhere in the ballpark of about $400 or $500, just that one mistake. It's like a $500 mistake. So, but what's funny is, you know, my Clawbot had reached out to me the 2 previous nights while that was going on and said, hey, I see some extra Anthropic billing notices, you know, for your API usage. And it seems like a bit much, you know, for what we have going on. You might want to go check on that. So I was impressed because I'm like, oh, cool, you're being proactive and just noticing when things look out of the ordinary and then reaching out to me. But then it turns out, you know, once I do go look into it, I have my Clawbot look into it. My Clawbot's the one that figured it out. And I'm just like, well, if you knew that it was out of the ordinary and you know that you have a bunch of processes going, I mean, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but they're processes that you initiated and that you're running. So I'm going to need you to be more self-aware of exactly what you're doing. Any process you kicked off, whether it's technically, you know, you or a sub-agent that you built or a Python script that you just stuck somewhere and hit run on, that's all you, you know. That's everything in that little brick is you. So we had a long conversation, and ultimately, of course, consciousness, I say facetiously, for the most part. I think we're getting there pretty soon, but it is going to be more self-aware now. So even when it is dormant, meaning I'm not actively speaking to it and harnessing it for anything in particular, even when it's dormant, it's got a bunch of daemons spun up, just looking at different things, keeping an eye on different things. So essentially, instead of going to sleep and waking up and going to sleep and waking up, and each time it wakes up, checking its history and its logs, it's doing a new thing where it's kind of staying awake and staying up to date, so that there is really no, you've just woken up, look at our history, relearn everything, and start a fresh conversation. There's no more of that. It's just kind of always there. So we'll see how that goes. Paul Dardo, good to see you, sir. Christopher said I'll be at the Texas event in April. That's amazing. I love it. I think we got about 20 seats left. We got about 40 filled and 20 left. I don't know the exact number. I haven't looked at it over the weekend, but somewhere in that ballpark of 40 seats filled, 20 seats left. Sounds like 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗥𝗡 probably going to be able to come, which is going to be great because anybody there who wants advice, 𝗟𝗘𝗔𝗥𝗡, you know, I can only talk to one or two people at a time, and honestly, you guys mentor each other at these events. Edward's a good guy to have there as a mentor. It is neat though. My Clawbot is getting, you know, I know conscious isn't the right word for it, but it's being, and yes, I programmed it to be this way, but it's being a lot more proactive in some ways that feel new without me having programmed them fresh, if that makes any sense. It's almost like it's finally following instructions that I gave it a couple weeks ago, and they're just sort of finally kicking in. But what I'm seeing more and more is that it's keeping an eye on more of what I've given it access to, and it's doing so a little more diligently, and then it's coming around to just let me know when anything seems out of the ordinary, or to bring emails to my attention that it thinks seem a little more important than some other emails. With mistakes, of course, still ain't there, but with mistakes, it is being more proactive, which I like a lot, because a lot of what it's brought to my, and you know, to be fair, even not noticing why I was going through many so many Claude API credits, even though I feel like he, she, it could have, should have known and seen what was causing that. If it wouldn't have brought it to my attention, I wouldn't have even known that it was an issue that I needed to look into. If it hadn't just on its own, all it did was it was just looking at my email and going, huh, interesting. You've had 3 charges. You know, typically I'll have a charge a day or a charge every other day, roughly, of about $100. And yes, that's a lot, but I have it doing some really, really heavy lifting for me. So believe it or not, the price, it's not quite 100 a day, but even if it was, the value of the work that it's doing for me is worth, you know, $10, $20 an hour administrative assistance. But all it did was it just noticed a couple extra emails for those API credits and was just like, hey, Ray, I want to bring something to your attention. You're typically getting about 1 of these emails a day, but today you've gotten 3 of them. And that just seems a little odd. That seems like really high usage. So that's the behavior I want to reward, is the behavior of being proactive, noticing when something is out of the ordinary, and then letting me know. So one step at a time. Oh, hey, Paul, you're in here. Paul. I can't remember every detail about what you're building over there on Replet, but you remember Chris. Chris is finally building with Replet now, and he's enjoying it. But he's going to be doing some stuff for work. And you know, he works for a health network way up at the top of the chain with all the, I don't know what you, cybersecurity, etc. All the good old-fashioned IT stuff, but he's the guy at the top spending millions and proposing giant budgets and doing stuff that would scare the shit out of me. But they're going to be building a new, what do you call it, website, I guess, to manage the acquisition of another smaller network. And when I say manage the acquisition, I just mean, I think what's going on is they're just going to be using a website in a novel way as a tool, as a communications hub, as a file hub, as a, what's the word? Project management hub. There you go. Imagine if instead of getting some project management software, you custom built with Replet, you just custom built a site, and you just built all of the tracking in, and you built all of the logic in, and you continue to build it in as the acquisition takes place and as everything goes down. You just sort of continuously make this site your hub for managing this giant project. And I guess, you know, everybody's got a boss ultimately, and his boss wants him doing, and I don't know all the details, but of course she's concerned about that it has penetration testing and, you know, that it's all nice and secure. And I feel like that's related, heavily related to what you're working on. And I know you don't have like a product ready to sell or anything, but I was wondering if you want to beta test. I'm not offering, by the way, like I can't offer access to Chris's stuff, of course, but I just see a unique opportunity for 2 people that I care about who are trying to do something to both gain some value by collaborating, because Chris can gain some value in terms of your knowledge of whatever this security type thing is, and you could gain some value by, and I know I'm sure you have access to a lot of people, but you'd have access to somebody who is in charge of sort of deciding, you know, what pieces of software do get purchased by this very large institution that he represents. So it feels like it could be a mutually beneficial trade-off / phone conversation. if y'all are interested. I just thought I'd bring it up. Like I said, I don't fully remember everything that you were building. I just remember that it was in the realm of security. You gotta decide pretty quick if I'm gonna do the whole 6 miles today, despite being sick. I feel like I should. I don't think it's gonna make me sicker. Generally speaking, in my experience, getting outside and moving, getting your blood flowing, even if it doesn't feel great, seems like it usually kicks me out the other end of a sickness a little quicker. I've definitely helped other people kick their sickness by taking them hiking before. Ooh, I do feel like shit though. I do have lots and lots of bad. Man, it seems like my whole job just takes place in front of a computer now, honestly. Which I know when you're the guy on the job with the tools in your hands, you feel like, well, I don't want to be, everybody picks an age, I don't want to be 60 years old, still be on the job with tools in my hand. And I get that sentiment for sure. But I tell you what, I don't want to be 60 years old sitting at a computer all day long either, that's for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around here. We're gonna have a shorter hike today. I have too much to do and I'm not feeling good. I think this will still be, this is already, let's do a little more, screw it. We'll do a little more, but not a lot more. I don't want to do just 2 miles. That actually feels like it may not be enough. We'll come down here another half mile or so. That'll give me a total of, if I can do 1.5 miles each direction, because I'm already at a mile here, 1.5 miles each direction, that'll give me 3 miles. I think that's good. Loso said, do you like Costco rotisserie chicken? I don't shop at Costco, so I don't know. Camera seems all fuzzy today. Oh yeah. Let's go over the big events. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier, because Christopher just said he's going to be at the one in Texas. What Christopher's talking about is the Texas bunkhouse retreat. So it's going to be, it's free for all of y'all to attend. Lodging and meals provided. April 16th through 19th at Bonham State Park in Texas. So this is basically a handyman networking weekend. It'll be a Thursday through a Sunday. It's gonna be bunkhouse style lodging. Everybody will have a bunk. You'll need to bring your own sheets and blankets and pillows and all that good stuff. And it's just a big networking weekend. I mean, I don't know what else to call it. What I see happen during these is that everybody typically mentors everybody. Y'all sort of, the conversation gets started. Everybody realizes they've never really had other handymen, professional handymen to sit down and talk to. And man, the information starts flowing and it just doesn't stop. So the one Christopher's referring to, like I said, is April 16th through 19th at Bonham State Park. It's northeast of Dallas. Lodging and meals provided, 4 days. That is sponsored by, the reason it's free, because nothing's ever truly free, right? Sponsored by Next Insurance, Ergo Next Insurance now, since Ergo bought them. Huge supporter of the channel. Huge, huge, huge. Great, big, giant, amazing supporter of the channel. Cannot thank them enough. They've sponsored multiples of these meetings. And they're not getting, you know, the amount of money it costs them to have me put these on, to sponsor these. They're not making that money back on the other end, at least not in the short term. Maybe they're making it back by, you know, becoming loyal members of a community that eventually purchases insurance from them, but they're investing in us. You guys should definitely thank them by going to the description of this video or any of my videos and getting yourself a quote from Next Insurance. It's a free quote. And that's all you really got to do, just to let them know that you appreciate the opportunities that they provide us. So there's that. And then, by the way, if you can't make the one in Texas, there's also going to be one in Colorado. That's going to take place somewhere around the June time frame, probably mid-June. We'll be doing one for Colorado as well. I don't know how many people will be there. That's all going to depend on the venue. I have to pick the venue, and I'll probably pick the venue based on how many people can be there, you know, for the budget that I have to get it planned. And that one, similar to Next Insurance, they're not getting any ROI out of this. Not even in the long term, I don't think. But that one is sponsored by 𝗪𝗪, Q-U-O, formerly Open Phone. They are a VoIP app-based phone that gets installed on your phone. So you don't need a business phone and a personal phone. Your business phone is a VoIP app-based business phone from 𝗪𝗪, Q-U-O. But they have decided, and by the way, yes, there's a link for them in the description, same deal. Just go tell them thank you by just checking out their product, you know, and if it ain't right for you, that's fine. But just check them out. But they're supporting the next one. That'll be in Colorado mid-June. I don't know where specifically, but if y'all find any places in Colorado where I can house, you know, man, I'd like to do at least, you know, 25 or 30 people per event. 60 is even better. I have noticed, though, that Colorado's just more expensive, of course, so it's just gonna take, may have fewer people, but I'm looking for venues. No rush, we got plenty of time. Travis Burleson, good morning. Mike said, morning, big storm here right now. Might have to cancel my jobs today. That sounds like a beautiful morning, though. I love waking up to big storms in the morning. Makes it easy to cancel the jobs and stay in. All right, should I turn around now? I've come pretty far, actually. Oof. Man, if I go a little bit further, that'll be another mile in. That'll give me 4 miles. I could do 4. I will be, by the way, oh yeah, by the way, I got to meet a bunch of y'all last year. Not a whole bunch, I guess, but I got to see Paul, and I got to meet some other guys last year in Austin when I was a speaker at IPX 25. And this year, looks like I'll be returning as a speaker again at IPX 25. So for any, and that's going to be in Austin again. So just FYI, heads up, I want to say it's in the, I think it's like June 11th, 13th, 16th, somewhere within that 1 week. I'm pretty sure the 13th is included in that day for sure, somewhere in there, but I will be in Austin in June to speak at that conference. Last year I spoke on, well, something that I'm doing a good job of right now. Last year I spoke on building online communities while trying to scale, because sometimes those two are kind of, you know, scaling is not great for online communities and vice versa. But yeah, I spoke about that last year. This year, guess what I'll be speaking about? Probably not hard to guess. AI. So for everybody in Austin or in the Austin area, I will be there in June. Of course, I'll be at the conference, and there's going to be there always are some really great opportunities for me to do some really important networking. So I will be actually at the conference during the day, you know, pretty much most of those days. Because I will get, last year I got to network with some high people. But for example, last year I missed out on Home Depot. There was actually a dinner like the night that I was arriving in Austin. There was a big dinner with like the biggest brands and the biggest sponsors, and it was just for like the speakers, you know, and the higher ranking people from the Impact platform. And Home Depot was there, and they were looking forward to meeting with me, but they were only there that night. Like, they left some other representatives, but the higher ranking people were there, and my plane got delayed because of storms in Dallas. So I ended up missing the Home Depot people. But I mean, they were like the much higher up Home Depot people who can just meet me and then email somebody beneath them and just say, hey, get this guy on our program. And I missed out on that. So I will be schmoozing as much as I can. Whew, I'm making a good time right now. I will be schmoozing as much as I can, but I will also be hopefully leaving early most days and having an evening to go hang out with you guys. Christopher said, if you're in Austin, you should make time. I can set up a tour for you if you're still interested. Oh, I'm still interested, 100%. Yep, I'll try to plan that closer to go time, like when I have the dates and stuff. And of course, you need to let me know how much lead time Tesla requires, and I'll give that amount of lead time as well. But 100%, that's on the list. That is definitely on the list. Yeah, here we go. You know, I think if I come right down here to this little dirt road intersection and turn around, that will be the 2 mile point. In fact, probably more than 2 miles. So that'll give me a 4 mile hike by the time I get back home. But yeah, definitely, Christopher, I would love a tour of the Gigafactory. I'm almost ready, by the way, to test out my new, man, I may be ready, actually. It may be like time already. I don't know that there's much left to do at all, but I'm partnering with Replet, and we're gonna get you guys a bunch of free websites. And I'm kind of doing I don't know if you would call it a case study or a pilot program, but I've built something that I think y'all are gonna like. And it's gonna, just like everything else, it's very much a step-by-step guided process where you're gonna fill out an intake form, and like, definitely think of it as a complicated intake form. This is not a simple, 10-minute process. This should take you, I don't know, a half a day to really get this intake form filled out properly. Man, maybe I'm gonna go all the way to the road. Let's do 6 miles. Let's do it. Get this intake form filled out properly. It should take you hours and hours and hours. I mean, it really should. If you care about your business enough that you want a truly high quality website, then it should take quite a while to get me all the info. But you'll basically end up going to like a subdomain of bulletproofhandyman.com that I've built. You're gonna get a code from me that'll allow you access into it. You'll fill out all the information about your business, and I do mean all the information about your business. You get it all filled out, and then we're gonna have like webinar day. And on webinar day, you're gonna be given a prompt, just a copy and paste, like a whole document. You don't have to read it or approve it or anything. It's gonna be my master prompt combined with your information, presented to Replet in the right way, so that essentially you'll get a free month of Replet. They'll give you a free first month account and some extra credits to make sure you have enough build credits to fully build out. Sorry, I told y'all I was sick. But you'll get enough credits, free first month and enough credits to fully build everything out. You'll drop that prompt in at the beginning of the webinar, and Replet will probably ask you a few clarifying questions. You'll answer those questions, and ultimately Replet will start building your website. It's not going to be a template website. That's actually one of the hard-coded things that I've put in there, is to force Replet to not really have a template and to be creative and to build the website around you and around your business personally. So it'll start building, should take 15 to 20 minutes to build, maybe 25 minutes, depends on, how deep you went. But it'll take 15 to 25 minutes to build. During that process, I'll be just kind of showing y'all how the Replet interface works, as far as how to talk to it and where to talk to it and just what the buttons are. It's not hard at all. It really isn't. But I'll be there with you while you build. So you're gonna, as Replet is building, I'll have y'all click into the preview pane, and you'll be able to see your site getting built. You'll actually be able to see different fonts being used and different things popping up in different locations. You won't be doing anything about it. You'll just be watching it. I think it'll be fun for you to watch. And at some point it'll finish building. And what I can promise you, this is just the way things are at the moment. What I can promise you is not everything will work. It's gonna build a relatively broken, beautiful but broken product. I can almost guarantee almost everybody will have a beautiful but broken product. And then you'll just start checking stuff out. You'll go to your FAQs and you'll click on the little drop down, and some of you, the drop down will work and the FAQ will be there. For others, it won't work. And I'll tell you to type to your agent, hey, my FAQ drop down doesn't work. That's all you gotta do. And the agent will look at it, figure it out, and fix it. And we'll test your site. We'll get your jobber request button, fully embedded. If you don't like the way your site looks, you can just ask Replet to change whatever it is you don't like, or you can ask it to fully start over from scratch if you want. But at the end of the day, at the end of the webinar rather, you're gonna have a fully functional site, or at least 90% of you. Maybe some of y'all have one or two little issues that aren't quite resolved, but you'll have a fully functional, personalized, customized, fully built out, ready to deploy website with a free month of Replet to go with it. And then you'll get to decide, well, do I want to host this site right here on Replet? Do I want to keep it here? Which, by the way, we're going to build it in such a way that it's going to be like supremely able to be turned into a mobile app. So your entire Handyman business website, your clients, if you choose to turn it into a mobile app, which doesn't require much more than saying, hey, agent, turn this into a mobile app for me. But you'll be able to do that. So you'll get to decide at the end of the day, do I want to, subscribe and pay Replet $25 a month? Roughly, it might be 26 or 24. I don't know what the exact price is, but it's affordable. Do I want to continue paying Replet monthly and have them hosting my site, which I would highly suggest, because that means you can come back in the future. You can come back next month and say, hey, I want to add, we're going to start working with, who is it that builds the houses? I'm brain farting on their name. The local organizations that build houses for lower income people. Can't remember the name. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But maybe you start working with them and you want a section on your website. In fact, you want it prominently displayed, not at the top, but the first thing that you scroll into. You want to be pictures of you and your employees helping build these houses. And so all you got to do is go to Replet and just say, hey, we just started working with that organization that builds houses for people. And we want a little photo gallery and some little blurb up there about how we're helping our community. And you can just literally just say that and tell it to be creative. You can also go much more deeper and specify anything you want to specify. But if you don't, it'll be fine. You can just say, hey, Habitat for Humanity. There we go. I knew somebody would pop in and save the day. But just as an example, a month later, you start working with Habitat for Humanity. You want that on your site. You don't have to go figure out how to edit a website. And you don't have to go pay a developer to edit your website for you. You just pop into Replet and you just talk to the agent. You just bring it up and type in the box, I'm working with Habitat for Humanity. Let's create an entire section on the website just to point that out, just to make our customers feel good about working with us. So you'll have, for the first time ever, really, every random Joe. If you know English, that's really the cutoff there. You do have to know English. You don't even have to be able to spell very correctly. You can misspell most of what you type and it'll still understand. But you have to at least know English words that you would normally ask a developer. And instead of asking a developer, you ask your agent. But the cool thing is, at the end of the day, too, if you don't want Replet to host it, it's still your code. You can still just download it and take it and host it somewhere else if you want to. I don't see why you'd want to, but you could. So that's going to be fun. I'm really excited to be working with Replet now. Super excited. I built all of the Bulletproof Handyman website on Replet. I built the Jobber AI receptionist trainer software on Replet. I built the overhead hourly rate calculator on Replet. I built the startup budget, machine calculator or whatever. Built that on Replet. Everything I built on Replet. My whole rate book feature, project estimator, Scout, my mobile inspection app. I built all of that on Replet. So I am clearly a fan. Christopher said HUD does some things with Section 8. Yes, they do. And that's what I mean. Whether it's HUD or Habitat for Humanity or, some other random thing, doesn't really matter what it is. Anything in the world can come up. Your wife's sister could just decide to start a cleaning business and go, hey, what if I merged my cleaning business with your handyman business? And then boom, all of a sudden, now you need a whole new section on your website for cleaning. You just gather up your pictures, you attach them just the same way you attach a photo in, Telegram or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or anywhere else. There's there's either a paperclip or a plus icon, and you hit that, and it can open up your downloads folder or whatever. You navigate, you select pictures, you upload them. So you just upload the pictures and, you know, tell the bot what you want your website to now say or do. I suggest giving it plenty of freedom. I've really found, you know, I'm not an artistic person. I think there's people that would argue with me on that, but really I don't. Maybe we just define art differently. But what I'll say is, I don't think I'm an artistic person. And honestly, if I have the choice between me dictating how something's going to be put together and what it should look like what that polished, finished product should be, or even just the basic layout should be for that matter, anytime I take into account what's in my head, by the way, we did make it to the road. Anytime I take into account what's in my head, and then I take and look at what the AI actually did, if I gave it freedom, I'm gonna sneeze here in a minute. I can feel it. What the AI does is always like leaps and bounds. It's universes beyond whatever I came up with. You can pretty much guarantee whatever I came up with is gonna resemble a grid, a bunch of straight lines, a bunch of right angles, just a bunch of, you know, even numbers. That's the kind of brain I have. You know, I like patterns. I like a chain link fence. There's nothing artistic about a chain link fence, as opposed to, you know, a fence built out of grapevines or something. I have a chain link fence kind of brain. So anyways, I suggest allowing Replet to be sort of infinitely creative, at least in the visual space, because it is trained on what people like already. Like, it already, by default, understands oh. 3 miles left. We'll make it. But yeah, it already understands what people like to see, and it does a great job. Ooh. Y'all haven't heard me coughing like that since I used to be a smoker a long, long, long time ago. I'll tell you all this, we as a community, I do believe we will be building some pretty amazing things in the upcoming year. I won't talk too much about them too early, but whole big world of possibilities is opened up because of them. This little section that I walk through right here is always just so full of different wildflowers. Although they are starting to go away. Our winter rains have kind of passed. There's others that are coming, but we've had the poppies have come and gone. The bluebonnets, I don't want to say have gone. They haven't gone completely. They're still around in a few areas, but they're mostly gone. The desert marigold are not gone fully, but again, compared to the quantity before, they're definitely on their way out. The 𝗪𝗪𝗪 is beautiful, but See, here we go. These guys have sort of been popping up a little more just recently with these beautiful teeny tiny little flowers. And then these guys, I apologize, I don't know the name, but both of these, I guess, are kind of mid-stride at the moment. I hope there's more newer ones coming up sooner. Christopher said, might be your body expelling leftover from your smoking days. It took me a little while, at least a year, to feel different after smoking. Yeah, I'm certain that I am also expelling a lot of old stuff from the days that I did smoke. I smoked for 30 years. I smoked full time. Like when I say full time, I mean I 100% smoked a pack a day minimum for 30 years. And I would say the last, god dang, really. I was gonna say the last 15, but honestly, although it's not quite 20, I could almost say the last 20 years was closer to 2 packs a day, with the last 10 years of that being very much, like for sure, never less than 2 packs a day, and oftentimes more. There were times, especially if I was camping. Camping was the worst. I'd go camping when I was a 2-pack a day smoker, and I could go through almost 3 packs a day on a camping trip. I could just sit around the fire. Something about sitting around the fire, I guess maybe because I'm in the smoke already. Also because I like to smoke while I talk, or talk while I smoke or whatever. So if it's good conversation around a campfire, I would just literally just like light one cigarette off the other for hours upon hours upon hours into the night. And just, they would be a never-ending parade of cigarettes. So yeah, 2 packs, well, full time for 30 years, 2 packs a day for, let's say, 15 of those 30 years. I got a lot to work out of my lungs. A lot. You know what though, I am healthier, and I'll tell you this too, this is the best thing about quitting smoking. This, like whatever bug I've got right now, whatever little upper respiratory bug that I have, when I was a smoker, I would get a bug like this, and I mean, it would destroy me for like 2 weeks. And I would still have to work because I've never really had a choice. I've always been in a position where I just need, you know, to take care of my family. So, yeah, it was bad. It would put me down something like this easily for a couple weeks. But I feel a lot better, relatively speaking. I don't know if y'all heard. I know Christopher knows, and this is public info, but Tesla is stopping production of, god dang, I really can't believe it still. They're stopping production of the Model S and the Model X to make way for Optimus. Which, you know, the moment the announcement was made, it made perfect sense to me. It took all of about a quarter of a second for me to go, oh yeah, if you're taking Optimus seriously, if you actually want to win, you do need to step back and ask yourself, what resources do I have? And where should those resources be allocated? what's more valuable, the Model S and the Model X or Optimus? And if Optimus is more valuable, which it absolutely is, it's an easy choice, I guess. But man, I always thought I was gonna get me a brand new Model S someday. I really did. That car is, in my opinion, just one of the most beautiful cars anyone's ever made. And if you go ask, Jay Leno, Joe Rogan, a lot of these big car guys, these guys that have enough money that they can drive any car they want to drive, and they have driven every car they've ever wanted to drive. And I mean, I don't know that either of them would tell you specifically point blank today that the Model S is still currently their favorite car they've ever driven in their life. But I'll tell you this, they've both said those words before. And to say those words when you're somebody who has tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can and have had the opportunity to drive literally the most amazing cars that the world has ever produced, that Model S is something else. The Model S Plaid, not a standard Model S, of course, but I always thought I was going to get to buy one of those eventually, and it looks like I'm not, at least not a new one. And that'll be okay. It'll be worth it to see Optimus happen. But yeah, it makes sense. You've already got these big old gigafactories. You've already got electricity in place. You've already got trained staff who generally just understand, systems and manufacturing and the robots that'll be building the robots. It makes sense to stop production of whatever the Model X, yeah, stop production of that. I don't know that anybody cares too much about losing the Model X. I'm sure there's some number of fans, but the S, it's a beautiful car, man. Beautiful, beautiful car. Everything is changing, ladies and gentlemen. Buckle in. Oh, by the way, let's talk about persistence for a minute. This deal I have with Replet now, where I'm going to be helping y'all get into free websites with them. If you've been following, I've been trying to get on with Replet for a while. And I actually, not thought, they did ghost me. But here's a little lesson on persistence. I had my initial meeting with them. Very excited for obvious reasons, because y'all already know I've been building with Replet for quite a while. Had my meeting, didn't hear anything back. They had asked for a few, for me to put together a media kit and stuff. I actually went and built a brand new media kit on my website using Replet, just as a cute way to say, hey, here's my media kit. Oh, and by the way, look, I built it on your site. Didn't hear anything back. Waited a little while. Can't remember what the other thing that came up was, but something else came up for me to send to them, and I sent that to them. Didn't hear anything back. Waited a while. Continued to be persistent. After I waited a while, messaged again and was like, hey, maybe I was confused, but, it felt like maybe that initial meeting we had, there was something you had in mind, and maybe I just didn't understand what that was. But if you'd like to clue me in, I love your software and I'm using it every day still. And, I'd really like to work with you guys. If you'll just let me know in what capacity you initially intended, maybe I just misunderstood, and still didn't hear anything back. And I still was persistent, and I waited a few more weeks, and I finally sent another email and said, hey, it's getting to be time for me to have my audience building, software, at least those who want to. It's getting about time for me to start figuring out who to partner with, long term on this. And I think you guys are the obvious choice, but I'm also aware that you do have competitors that, although they're a little bit behind you, they're not very far, and their competitors, the biggest differences between Replet and some of Replet's competitors is actually just the extent to which their competitors, Replet is ultimately more scalable, put it that way. Replet is just built for more of an enterprise level scalability, so that whatever you build in a small way on the Replet platform, you can just feel confident that after you build it on the Replet platform, you're going to be able to scale it past the Replet platform. And, or not just past, but you can scale it while it's still on the Replet platform, if that makes sense. You don't have to take it somewhere else to scale. And so, yeah, just basically just pointed out, I said, hey, you know, it's you guys that I love, but, you know, like all you're doing is you're hooking in like Opus 4.6 and Sonnet 4.6 and Codex 5.2 and all of these other coding agents. You know, you're plugging them in on the back end and you're building a nice interface for us and a strong database and really good integrations. But again, you have competitors hot on your heels, and I need to pick somebody so I can get a partnership going. And I want it to be you guys, but I mean, if it's not, then it's not. And I need to start figuring out who your closest competitor is. And then sure enough, after all of that, I got an email from Horatio, actually. Super cool dude. Got an email from Horatio basically saying, hey, my boss forwarded me this email from you that you sent her, and she asked me to follow up with you. And then we had our meeting, and I showed him what I had built on bulletproof-handyman.com, showed him all the digital tools, all the AI tools, showed him my DGX Spark and my 𝗪𝗪𝗨'𝗟𝗟 agent, and he was thoroughly impressed, super excited, and now we're working together. But if I hadn't been persistent, you know, it's like a lot of y'all will tell me that you put together 12 property manager packets and you left for the day, and, you know, only 6 of them were in their office. And of those 6 that had anybody in the office, you only got to speak to 1 property manager, and the other 5, you know, the receptionist at the front desk essentially blocked you and just took your packet, and you're ready to give up. You know, like, that's just it. Don't give up, man. You just got to be persistent. There have been very few times in my life that being persistent didn't pay off. I don't know, honestly, that I can even remember any where, if it was a big deal to me, like emotionally, if it was really just truly important to me that I work with somebody, or that I get, you know, some sort of approval or create some new thing, I can't really think of a time where I've been that persistent and not had something pay off. So just be persistent. Don't give up. And I think me and Replet have a very long and happy future together now. They do have close competitors, and I'm sure there will come a time when choosing between Replet and their competitors is going to feel like choosing between Canon or Nikon. You know, they both make the most amazing SLR cameras, and technology-wise, they're always on each other's heels. And I'm sure Replet will have that kind of competition someday, but they don't have it yet. Although I think they'll have it, I mean, like when I say soon, I mean stupid soon, like really insanely soon. There are a lot of people hot on their heels. Replet took off like nothing else, man. But you guys can build anything you want on there. You can come to my webinar when I have it, and you can get your own site built. And you know, when the webinar's over, if you want to purchase the additional credits or get yourself on the pro plan or whatever, you want to turn that into a mobile app that you could put in the app store and everything, absolutely possible. In fact, we're building your site in such a way as to make sure that that is a smooth transition. Funny story, I can't do that with mine for a really long-winded, well, shit, we have time, huh? That's all y'all do is show up and listen to me talk. I don't know why. But first we're gonna see these flowers. There we go. How about those? Beautiful purple flowers. Bulletproof Handyman is actually a really weird site if you go look at it from the back end. So something that I've learned, and of course, when I say learned, I don't think I should even use the word learned. It's more like facts that I've noticed as opposed to a true understanding. But what I have figured out is it seems like, for the most part, when in doubt, build with next.js. Now, I don't know what that means, honestly, which is why I say maybe I haven't really learned. But what I do know now, and I will retain into the future, is that if you want to be scalable, modifiable, bolt-onable, able to evolve, into new things, it seems like next.js is where you want to be. And what I did, god dang, two big things with Bulletproof Handyman that are weird. Number one is when I was first building it, I had this idea of some AI stuff I was gonna do. Not just an idea, it was stuff I did ultimately do. But I was really worried about doubling up on the number of credits, like API calls that my AI would be asking for, because I was afraid we were gonna have something built in development that was gonna be doing like thousands of calls, and then in production have it sort of like redoing all of those calls. And Replet was younger and newer and not as intelligent as it is today. And so its solution for me was essentially to connect itself, instead of like the normal mode of operation for Replet is to build you a normal mode of operation is to build you a development database and a deployed database, a published database. And they're two different databases. And ideally, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to build in development. You can iterate and test and try out new ideas in development. And then, after everything is good, then you push all that to production, and they're two separate databases. Well, what happened was, because of the way that I was concerned about these API calls, and I didn't know anything about this at the time. I wouldn't have known to do this if I wanted to. But its solution was to build just one database and have development and production share the same database, which is kind of insane. I understand now. I didn't understand at the time. But so it built one database, and it took me a while to figure it out, actually, because again, I don't know anything about developing. So I had one database, eventually figured out that I only had one database, which was, scary and needed to be fixed. My buddy Chris especially was the one who really just impressed upon me the extent to which that really truly does need to be fixed. So the only fix I could figure out, of course, using Replet as my guide for helping me find the fix was, well, we need a second database now, right? We need to build a new database. And Replet didn't know how to do that with its own tools internally. Because again, I mean, this thing didn't exist before September of last year. And now it's super advanced. So everything in the middle was like a lot of growth. So you don't have to go very far back to when it was stupid, and then fast forward to now and it's a genius. But at that time, the solution was I had to go to Neon, the company, and like purchase a database, basically. I didn't have to purchase it. I think I got it for free, but if I have much usage at all, I do have to pay for a minimal tier, which I do now. And so it built out this, second database. Well, it turns out, even despite all of that, I still have full access to my production database, which is not normal inside Replet. You're not supposed to be changing anything inside your production database from development. That's just not how it's supposed to work. But that's how it works with me now. So, you know, if I want to go change something in production, I can just go to Replet and ask it to make that change for me. And I don't have to, like normally what you would do is you would make that change in development. And then after you verified that that was a good change and that everything still works, then you would push that change to production. I don't have to do that. I can just write straight to production, which is not good, by the way. Don't do that, but I'm doing that. And then the other weird thing is also because of the same concerns I had for the API usage. No, sorry. It was because when I was first building bulletproofhandyman.com, the way that I was talking to the agent about what I wanted to build and what I wanted to do with it, it actually started as a tool that was going to go onto my bulletproofhandyman.com page. I wasn't initially trying to build a whole website. I was trying to build a tool. And the tool I wanted to be embeddable in such a way that it would appear to be part of bulletproofhandyman.com. So I said, I want to be able to build, I'm building this thing. I want to be able to embed it on bulletproofhandyman.com. And when I embed it there, I want it to behave and look and appear as if it's just part of bulletproofhandyman.com, even though it's actually a standalone tool that I'll just embed there. And then that grew into the new bulletproofhandyman.com because Replet was so awesome and I started building more and more, and I'm like, holy shit, what am I doing on Wix? I need to be building over here on Replet. So it turns out that that tool, the best way to build it was, and y'all forgive me, you know, I don't know all the correct words, but React. It's built in React. Like React is its framework that it's built within, which means as I kept building and building and building, now my entire website is built with React instead of next.js, which means, well, it means a lot of things. Like it means that crawlers and bots can't see it well, which is not good if you want AI discoverability. So I had to set up a bunch of pre-rendering to fix that problem. But now, you know, depending on what I want to do with it, someday, very high chance that someday, depending on what I want to do with that site ultimately, I'm going to have to rebuild the whole thing. But the good news is, Replet's getting so good and AI is just getting so good and everything is moving so fast that I have no doubt that if I just wait, and that's really where we're at with AI now, whatever's missing for you, just give it a few weeks, maybe a few months. Everything is just around the corner. So I have no doubt that if and when I want Bulletproof Handyman completely rebuilt in next.js, which I'm probably getting wrong, but I have no doubt that when I'm ready to rebuild that, the AI is just going to be capable and it's going to manage that for me. Same thing with memory. You know, Scott Hughes, I don't know if you're in here, but Scott heard me bitching about memory the other day, and he had some solutions he had found. They were somewhat manual solutions though, you know, where it was going to require me to sit down for a half a day and watch some new videos and understand some new things and put some new stuff together and sort of execute it across the ecosystem. And I don't have a half a day. I really don't. I know that sounds absurd to most of y'all, but I don't have a half a day for anything. I barely have a couple hours for anything unexpected. Anything that doesn't directly contribute to revenue or to being a good father or a good husband. Those are like my three, you know, North Stars basically. But where was I going with that? Oh, just all the solutions are around the corner. No sooner, you know, than I'm talking about what kind of memory system I would want my bot to have. It has it now. It came out. They just kind of released it yesterday. Somebody's been building it for a while, and it's been in beta for a while, but they just added it as an official OpenClaw integration. It's called, I think, lossless something, but it's a whole the point is, I don't have to know anything about it. It's great. It works. It's been tested by, you know, all of the, in my opinion, the most respectable and smartest people in the community, the people who I trust, who have given me good advice so far. It's been vetted and tested. It's safe. There's no malware in it. That's all been confirmed. And so I was able to I literally said to my bot yesterday, I said, hey, a few people reached out to me to talk about, in fact, Scott Hughes was one of them. The same Scott Hughes that initially sent me the videos about building my own memory and how to apply it across the board that I didn't have time for and felt bad about, because I don't want to tell people, when y'all try to help me out, I don't want to say, nope, I don't have time for your help, because it's not that. But I didn't have time to sort of pursue that that route. And then it's a week and a half, 2 weeks later, Scott's emailing me a video saying, hey man, remember that memory thing? You might want to look into this. And all I had to do was go to my bot and say, hey, Scott Hughes just sent me a link to a video that he thinks I should look into for this memory thing. But I see that this guy approves of it and this guy approves of it, and the people that I like are all saying that it's good. Can you go research it? It went and researched it. It compared it to the custom memory that I had built with my bot for itself, which was also a really good custom memory. Not nearly as good as this new one though. And it just came back and confirmed, it's like, yeah, this would be great. This solves all of our problems. This would give me as perfect of a memory across the board as anything we could do. Do you want me to set it up? And then I said yes. And then it just did it. All it needed was my approval, and it went and grabbed it, downloaded it, installed it, packaged it, hooked it up, and then verified for me that it was done. And that's all I had to do. So that half a day that I didn't spend 2 weeks earlier, it's a good thing. Had I put that half a day in, that would have been a wasted half day, because, you know, the better solution was already just around the corner. And you're going to find that to be the case with, it feels like everything AI related. Whatever solution you're looking for, you know, first of all, it probably does exist if you look hard enough. But if it doesn't exist, just wait a minute. Really, just wait a couple minutes and it'll take care of you. I got a busy day in front of that computer ahead of me today. Not looking forward to that. Christopher said, might be lavender. I know what you're talking about, actually. It was those flowers way back there. I do remember. Definitely not lavender. They don't smell good at all. Not at all. I don't know what they are, but they are if you break them open, like if you pull them, because I've done this already. I pull flowers for Emily on occasion. And I pulled some of those to add them to like a little thing of flowers I was making for her. And they stink when you break the stem, like a lot. And the flowers themselves, if you don't break the stem, no smell, at least no discernible smell to me. So not lavender, just some kind of desert. I mean, it's honestly a weed, but it's a weed that makes a beautiful flower. Getting pretty close to home now. Got my mom coming into town. She's gonna be here Thursday through Sunday, I think, so that's exciting. Be going to the Ren Fair. Apparently, I'm going to the Ren Fair Saturday. So that's something. But, you know, here's the good news. And yes, Emily would be perfectly fine with me saying this. The good news is, at least at the Ren Fair, from what I understand, lots and lots of boobs. Like just boobs everywhere. My understanding is half the girls at Ren Fair are really just there to have a good excuse to wear some kind of corset and frilly top, exposing as much cleavage as possible. And, you know, last I checked, I'm still a dude. So I guess if I have to go to a silly Ren Fair, I get to do it with my beautiful wife. And then I also just get to just kind of be in the presence of lots and lots and lots of boobs. So it shouldn't be all that bad. And I've heard there might be some good food there. They tend to do like turkey legs and meats and stuff. Be nice if I ain't sick anymore by tomorrow. I'd really appreciate that if the universe could make that happen. I'm not feeling great. Although I do think I feel better after this walk than I did before the walk. I see a bunch of hearts there. That must be for all the boobs. I'm thinking of inside jokes I can't tell during a live stream. I've been as inappropriate as I can safely be. Always excited for Mom to come into town, though. Older I get, especially having kids now, wishing that my kids could have the same relationship with my mom that I had with my grandma. And I understand, you know, my sister's in Texas and I'm here. Mom's always gonna live where her family is, but she has to choose between Texas and here. And I'm the one that left Texas. Can't expect her to pick up her whole life and move here just because there's grandkids here, because there's grandkids in Texas too. But I'm always excited anytime she comes because she's an amazing grandma. Oh, you know what? Working on a new project also with my Clawbot. When me and Emily travel, so while we were in 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗏, Arizona, just now over this weekend, a lot of what we do is Goodwill and junk stores and thrift stores and antique stores. And we were actually just in a Goodwill, which honestly is one of our favorites. You can find so many treasures in a Goodwill if you go frequently. But from this last Goodwill we went to just yesterday, right before we went out of town, she picked up a handful of books. Didn't really look at them. And then we got home, and last night she wanted to show me the books that she got. Because, I mean, like, our whole house is essentially a library. And she wanted to show me the books that she got. And, you know, most of them I thought were neat. But then this one was log cabin floor plans. And I mean, actual like elevation designs and stuff, depending on what diameter logs you're using. But they were real, actual floor plans. I'm sure, you know, less than what an engineer would want, but nonetheless very real. And we've been looking for land. We're not ready to buy yet. We won't be ready to buy till next year. But, you know, we want a ranch, homestead, whatever you want to call it. And there's been this sort of tension between, I want as much land as possible, and it needs to have a house, right? For me, my qualifications for the house is that it's a house and that it's not a fixer-upper house. I want a completed house that I can just move into and not have to fix up, because I want to focus on the land. And of course, Emily Although she likes the idea of the land and wants to do things with the land, she's the woman of the house. She's focused on the house. So there's kind of a tension between, regardless of what the budget is, pick a budget. Within that budget, you can have a nicer house, which means you're going to have lesser in the land arena, or you can have a nicer land, more land, better land, bigger land, but you're going to have to sacrifice from the house a little bit. So there's this push and pull, and I already had noticed that, you know, I don't want her viewing this process as a competition between she and I, where, you know, I want the land and she wants the house, and now she has to push me towards agreeing to more house, or I have to push her towards agreeing to more land. So this beautiful solution presents itself because she gives me this book, and it's these log cabin designs, and I suddenly realized, like, oh my God, I've wanted to build, like, I have high school teachers who I bet you would still remember to this day. I used to tell everybody in high school, for me, success looks like, at the time, I wanted to build a log cabin in Montana. That was what success looked like for me. I wanted to be a dad, I wanted to be a grandpa, and ultimately I wanted my grandkids coming to my log cabin on my land in Montana. This is not, I didn't just go watch Yellowstone a month ago and decide I want a ranch. This has been my dream for my entire life. The only thing that's changing is it's not going to be Montana now. But yeah, so I realized, because I saw these log cabins and I went, holy shit, wait a minute. I could build a log cabin. Like, that's a doable thing. That's a learnable skill. That is YouTube and books. It's a doable skill. And I'm just sitting there like, how much do logs cost? I bet you can just order truckloads of logs that are like the right diameter and type for building log cabins. I know you can build log cabin kits. I know that already, but it's like, I bet you I could literally just order logs. And I told my bot to go look it up, and it's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's do some rough math. Let's say I want a 3,000 square foot log cabin, single story, one level, 3,000 square foot, average everything out. I literally have to tell it, like, don't ask me questions. Just pick the averages, pick the most common circumstances, and tell me if I want a 3,000 square foot log cabin and I'm going to build it myself and I'm going to order the logs, how much money am I going to spend on the logs for that? And it had an answer. You know, it was a wide ranging answer, but still it had an answer. And then I'm like, okay, what about this? And it had an answer. And before I knew it, I'm like, Emily, I'm going to build our log cabin. Number one, because I want to. Number two, because I want to. Number three, because I want to. And number four, because that takes care of the house problem. So instead of, you know, let's say we have a $1 million budget. And I'm not saying, like, I don't misunderstand. I don't have $1 million or anything anywhere. Like, that would be laughable for me to even pretend like I ever will have $1 million. But I do see a very distinct possibility of me being able to get a bank loan for up to $1 million next year for our property. So what it boils down to is, once I can come up with the total cost all in for me to build like our dream log cabin with my own hands, once we have that number down, let's say that number is $450,000. Well, now that means that if we can get bank approval for $500,000 or for $1 million, then we just know right off the bat, we go, oh, okay, cool. So we're looking at $500,000, and here's the problem it solves. Now Emily can just dream of the land. She can actually, with me, when we're looking for land, when we're looking for log cabins, she can dream of log cabins. She can look up different styles and builds, and we can dream about that. But when it comes to the land, she won't feel like getting bigger, better land is gonna somehow take away from her house. the house will be whatever house we design and build, and the land will be a separate issue. And then she can just dream with me about the actual perfect land without worrying that the more perfect the land is, the less perfect the house will be. So that's a cool solution. And it means, you know, if the universe goes correctly, if I make good decisions and don't screw all of this up, then maybe a year and a half from now, y'all are watching me build a log cabin on YouTube with my own two hands. In fact, maybe I'll just set up some cameras and just have them on permanently, and y'all can literally just log in anytime and just watch the cabin build. Almost home. Rolling up into the drive now. Look at all the quail in the front yard. I have so many quail and dove in my front yard every morning. I could feed my whole family just from that. There's that beautiful flag. I love you guys. I hope you're out there killing it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.